Yesterday, federal immigration agents used what's called a pit maneuver to chase down and capture a suspect they were chasing on a residential street on Chicago's east side. And here's some file tape that shows what a pit maneuver is. That's the law enforcement vehicle purposely crashes in to the side of the fleeing vehicle to force it to stop so they can nab the suspect. The thing is, former Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson says CPD outlawed the use of pit maneuvers, especially in dense residential neighborhoods.
CPD, we outlawed pit maneuvers years ago because, again, it's not only dangerous to the public, but it's dangerous to the officers that perform that maneuver. And as the speeds get higher and increase, that maneuver becomes more and more dangerous.
Now, this incident happened after federal law enforcement vehicles engaged in a high-speed chase down a residential street. Another no-no, Johnson says, because of the risk it presents to officers and innocent bystanders in the community.
What I saw yesterday, flying down residential neighborhoods, you got to think about children being out there at that time, and their instinct for danger is not what an adult's is. So they may be chasing a ball, out into the middle of the street and get hit inadvertently because of things of this nature.
And after all this, the crowds came out, as captured on our Sky Fox. They surrounded ICE officials and Customs and Border Patrol officials. An officer was reportedly pelted with an object, and then the tear gas came out all over the community. Now, Eddie Johnson says if the aim is public safety and de-escalation, then tear gas and rubber bullets are not the way to go.
I haven't seen tear gas really de-escalate anything. What it does is spread the crowd out, and then they come at you from other different angles. And then if you notice, what happens is when protesters start realizing you're going to use tear gas, they start bringing their own tear gas mask. So what's the point? And then there's no such thing as a non-lethal munitions. If it's a munition, it's less lethal. So when you're using rubber bullets, let's say you have elderly people out there with a pacemaker and you don't hit the person you're aiming at, and you hit that elderly person, you could kill that person. So I think they need to pare down what I see as no de-escalation tactics at all.
And we asked DHS representatives why they were using tactics that CPD outlawed years ago. And Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin wrote back, in part, ICE and CBP are trained to use the minimum amount of force necessary to resolve situations that are dangerous, to prioritize the safety of the public and themselves. Our officers are highly trained in de-escalation tactics and regularly receive ongoing use of force training. Now, McLaughlin mentions that the elevated threat level against DHS agents are why some of these aggressive tactics and some of these hiding of faces are being used. But how could one not conclude that these policies are helping bring this danger on? CPD is trained in policing in a densely populated urban environment. Do federal agents realize tactics that might work in wide open spaces near the border might wreak havoc in residential neighborhoods? What's clear is former Chicago law enforcement officials are getting worried that it's only a matter of time before tragedy strikes and an innocent is caught in the crossfire. Tonight, talking transit. Illinois lawmakers charge ahead with a $1.5 billion bill to overhaul CTA, PACE, and Metro. No King's Day. How organizers are preparing for what could be one of the largest protests in U.S. history this Saturday. Welcome to the Chicago Report. I'm Paris Schutz. Let's start with that imminent No King's Day, where tens of thousands, if not more, might descend on the loop to protest the Trump administration. And that's not mentioning anything about the millions that are expected at these rallies across the country. And joining us now is Kathy Tholen, who is the president of the local group Indivisible Chicago. Kathy Tholen, thanks for talking to us. So, brass tacks here. How many people are you expecting on Saturday? Who are the speakers, and what is the route going to be that folks march?
Well, let's back up for a second, Paris. And as you said, this is a national day of action. There will be a major Chicago rally. People all over the country will be standing up to speak out against the policies and activities of this administration that are hurting our neighbors and hurting our families. So as you said, it's expected to be the largest single day of protest in our country's history. And in Chicago, we will be gathering in Grant Park. at 12 noon. The number of people that come, we expect there is a lot of enthusiasm here in Chicago for taking a stand and speaking out. We have a lot of reasons to come out in Chicago, as you showed in your earlier story about as ICE continues to occupy our streets and make our city less safe for all of us, and particularly for those they are targeting indiscriminately in Chicago. So we know that Chicagoans are enthusiastic to come out and come out together, not only in Chicago downtown, but all around the metropolitan area. So we expect a full house in Grant Park, and we expect it to be a vibrant and energizing and impactful activity. We will have speakers. We will have elected officials, people representing groups that are on the front lines of dealing with ICE in Chicago. We'll have the ACLU. We will have music.
And I know that given how big this is expected to be, there's going to be no Kings rallies perhaps in places in suburbs. I heard about one in LaGrange. But you talked about all the escalating tensions here with immigration raids. Are you worried about public safety on Saturday?
So first off, Chicago has a long and strong history of peaceful protests, and we expect this to be the same, but we have centered safety in all of the planning that we have done. We have safety marshals. We have planned for managing a large crowd of people, but we believe that we need to do to keep this a safe event, and we hope that people will come and bring their families and bring their friends, so that this large gathering of Chicagoans can freely express our opinions.
And in the last few days, we've heard some Republican elected officials claim that this is all paid protesters, that there are shadow groups that are paying for this, that these are folks who, quote, hate America. What is your reaction to the blowback that you're getting?
Okay, so first off, Paris, what is more American than peacefully standing up to express your opinion? Millions of Americans are going to be doing this across the country on Saturday. The organizations, there are more than 70 organizations that have signed on to sponsor this event here. Almost many of them entirely run by volunteers. Indivisible Chicago, where I sit, is entirely run by volunteers. We don't know any paid protesters. We are looking at an administration that is anti-democratic and anti-American and often illegal in the actions that it's taken. We are working to create a country that works for everyone, and feel like we represent the country.
And, the title No Kings, I think there's been some pushback saying, well, the Trump administration, whether you love or hate them, they were elected. It's still a democracy. The Congress was elected. All these officials have been elected. What about some of that criticism?
We believe in elections, and we believe in the Constitution of the United States, right? And we believe that our elected officials are responsible to act in accordance with the Constitution, that we believe that the residents of the United States have rights and freedoms that are protected by law and by Constitution and cannot be trampled upon. So we are working to defend our country against those who would tear those things down.
All right, Kathy Tholen of Indivisible Chicago, the No Kings rallies happening Saturdays. You mentioned Grant Park and all across the region and the country. We will sure be watching. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.